Hi, and welcome back to 3.5 Dividing Decimals Fluently from Course 1A Singapore Math. We are doing the content video. We will understand what's there in this chapter so that we can do independent practice with much ease. So let's begin. As you can see, this chapter has four things to understand and they all are related. So let's begin with the first one, which says divide a whole number by a decimal. As usual, we'll take examples to understand this. So the whole number is like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? No decimals, no fractions. So let's say 2 divided by a decimal, 0.4. So we write this 2 as it is, we write division as it is, and 0.4 can be expressed as 4 upon 10, right? So we change that into a fraction format. And now we do 2, division will become multiplication, and we inverse this. So that becomes 10 upon 4. And then we take the common factors out. So 2 times 1 and 2 times 2, which means we have 10 upon 2, and further that can be divided, right? 2 times 1 and 2 times 5. So in the numerator we have 1 times 5, which is 5, and in the denominator 1. We don't need to write, so that's 5. The whole number divided by a decimal. So this is how you would solve in that situation. The next here we have is divide tenths by tenths. Okay, so we will have one decimal place, right? It's tenths. Let's say, for example, 0.9 divided by 0.3. In this case, we have two methods. Let's understand both the methods. In method 1, what we do is we convert this into fraction format. So 0.9 becomes 9 upon 10. We write division as it is. Convert this also into fraction format. So that becomes 3 upon 10. It's tenths, right? So your denominator will be 10. It has one decimal place. Okay? Then we write 9 upon 10 as it is. This division will become multiplication, and the second fraction inverses, right? So here we know 10 and 10 out. 3 times 1, 3 times 3. So the answer to this is 3, because in the numerator you have 3 times 1, and in the denominator it's 1 times 1. So the answer is 3. So that's method 1. Let's see method 2, how that works. Method 2. In this case, we write 0.9 divided by, this is division, right? 0.3. Now both of them have one decimal place. So we multiply with 10. Whatever we do in numerator, we do in denominator. And whatever we do in denominator, we do in numerator. That's how you balance the equation. So 0.9 times 10. When you multiply with 10, you shift the decimal to the right. So this becomes 9 and that becomes 3. And 9 upon 3. 3 times 1, 3 times 3. So the answer to this is 3. So whichever method you prefer, you can use, unless it's mentioned to use a particular method. And when we do independent practice, we'll try to use both methods. Let's move to the third one. It says divide hundreds by hundreds. So it's exactly this process. Okay, let's see here. So here we'll have, for example, 0.64 divided by 0.08, because it's hundreds, right? So two decimal places. So we do the same process. Here in method 1, we had 10 because it's tenths and this one decimal place, right? So here we have two decimal places. It's hundreds. So we will have 100. So we say 64 upon 100 divided by 8 upon 100, right? Then we say 64 upon 100. Division becomes multiplication and we inverse the second fraction. And in this case, 100 will be out And we know 8 times 1 and 8 times 8. So the answer is 8 over here. It's same process. This was method 1. This also has second method, just like this one. The same way we do it here now. So let's see that method. So we say 0.64 upon 0.08. That's 0.64 divided by 0.08. Now it's hundreds. So we say times 100 and times 100. So this fraction will become 64 upon 8. And we know that 64 upon 8, right? It's like 64 divided by 8. So that's 8. So the answer to this is 8. And that was method 2. And we go to the last part now. So that's divide decimals with one or more decimal places. Let's understand that here. It also has two methods. Let's say we want to divide 1.44 by 1.2. So method 1. It's the same method. Now in this question, here we have 2, here we have 1. So we have to be careful about 10, 100,000 that we use. So we write this as 144 upon 2 decimal places. So we say 100 divided by 1.2 becomes 12 and divided by just one decimal place, so 10. So do you see it's the same way? Then we do 144 divided by 100. Division becomes multiplication and second fraction inverses. So we say 10 upon 12. 10 times 10 is 100. 12 times 12 is 144. 12 by 10. We can do like 6 and 5, but we know dividing by 10 is much easier, right? So we use that logic. So that's 12 by 10, which means that's 1.2. Done. Same method. Okay? Let's look at method 2 now. It follows the same process. So we write 1.44 divided by 1.2. Now, do we multiply with 10 or 100? The ideal situation is we get rid of the decimal point in the denominator, the divisor. So we just have one decimal place. So we say times 10 and times 10. Okay, remember you cannot say times 10 here and times 100 here. No, you will then not have the balance. Whatever in numerator, same thing in denominator. Whatever in denominator, same thing in numerator. Okay, so it's both times 10 that we are doing. So this becomes 14.4 because we just have 10. So we shift by one place, right? And this becomes 12. So let's divide this number here. 14.4 divided by 12. 12 goes once in 14, so the remainder is 2. Now we take this 4 down, but before that we have this decimal point here. So we put that decimal here and we take 4 down. So whenever you use decimal place, always put the decimal point in the quotient. We know 12 times 2 is 24. So the answer is 1.2. Same answer, right? So it's the same method. All these last three things, by tenths, by hundreds, and one or more decimal places, they have two methods and they follow the same process. You have number line also in this case, but I'm not doing it here because number line is easy when you have really small numbers. Otherwise, it becomes very tedious process. And in independent practice, there's no mention of number line. You have to particularly use number line. So let's stick with these two methods and practice questions using these two methods. That's it. We are done. The chapter is done. And I'm sure you have understood it well. You are confident enough to do the independent practice, right? So let's meet again in the independent practice video. Goodbye.